stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no. They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no.
Hello and welcome to another episode of We Are Mighty. I am your host, LaTanya Cross, aka Mighty's Mama, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. It may not seem like it, I will be honest. Today has not been the best day. It's been pretty emotional for me, but I'm still here, I'm still kicking, I'm still doing this for you. I just want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who tunes in, to everyone who gives me feedback, to everyone who has subscribed, to everyone who's still on this journey with me. How y'all doing? How's your journey going? How's your mental? I hope you're taking care of yourself, and I hope that the journey isn't as difficult as it was before. So, I want to start by saying my prayers go out to the families in Georgia of the students. This week there was a shooting at a high school. I'm going to be honest, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name because I probably will say it wrong. Looks like Appalachians, but I know that's not it. Like Appalachia. I said I wasn't going to try, but I tried anyway. But in that tragic event, they lost 2 students and 2 teachers. And, you know, any families losing a family member to gun violence now is just such a trigger for me. And I wouldn't want to see anyone go through it at any age, a child of any age, a family member of any age, because it's very difficult to deal with. It's very difficult to come back from. It's hard to move forward. And I know for those kids, it's got to be crazy to even think about going back to school. And I don't know what's going on in this world. It seems like lately it's gotten worse and worse, and will continue. I don't know what it is we need to do. I don't know what the answer is. I wish I had it, but I'm definitely keeping everyone involved, everyone at that school, the surrounding schools. I understand there were other schools connected. All of those families, our thoughts and prayers are with you in what I know is an extremely difficult time. And as I said, seeing people affected by gun violence or hearing of it in the news, it's triggering for me because, of course, of the way that my son was taken from me. And speaking of triggers, I saw a quote this week, and it kind of, I guess I could say, took me by surprise, but it kind of put some things in perspective for me. I'm going to read it. It said, "Your triggers are your responsibility. It isn't the world's obligation to tiptoe around you." Now that sounds harsh, but you know what? For the most part, I guess it's true. You know, I'm that one who felt like the world was supposed to end when my baby died because that's how I felt. My world ended. The world as I knew it ended. So why is everybody else able to enjoy their life and I'm dealing with this pain? But as that quote says, I can't expect people to constantly tiptoe around me because honestly, you never know what's going to trigger you. Things that I think will trigger me don't. I started a new job recently and I was filling out paperwork and filling out life insurance forms. That was a trigger for me. Just filling out paperwork and putting the names of dependents. My son was under 26, so I was able to carry him. So he would have gone on that form. And that, believe it or not, was a trigger. But what am I supposed to tell HR? Hey, don't give me these forms. It's going to be hard for me. First of all, I didn't expect it to. But second, they have to do their job. So I can't expect them to tiptoe. So that quote, it struck me. Like I said, it caught me off guard, but it's like a reality check. It kind of hurt at first, but it really put some things into perspective. And, I have to understand that I can't go through life expecting people to constantly worry about my triggers or worry about, honestly, my grief. I hate it, but it is my responsibility. And I'm trying to put that into perspective and take responsibility for those things. When something triggers me, if I'm at work or if I'm in public, I try not to have a huge outburst or step away, excuse myself, compose myself, and then return. It's not always easy, but I realize now it's something that I have to put an extra effort into because I guess I feel like it's not fair to expect others to tiptoe, as the saying says. Like those words really hit me. And they've hit me in different ways on different days. That's the crazy thing about it. When something affects me, then I think about, okay, do I need to tell this person, my son was killed and I'm dealing with this? To me, that's almost attention seeking. So I try not to do that. Some people understand, but I'm just trying to take a different approach. I don't know how long it'll last. I don't know if I can keep it up, but at this point, I'm trying to be conscious of that. So we previously talked about the 5 stages of grief. As a reminder, they are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I personally feel like I'm in the depression stage right now, but I feel like I'm what you would call a functioning depressive. You know how you have like functioning alcoholics? They drink, but they still are able to go throughout life and do what's expected of them. I feel like that's me right now. I can tell that there is a sense of depression, but I'm trying to just do what I need to do and move forward. I'm definitely not at acceptance yet. I think that might be a long way off. But I can feel like, honestly, at any given moment, I may just cry. I may just feel overwhelmingly sad. And I'm working on that, but it's part of the process, right? But I feel like there is a stage, if you will, of grief, definitely a part of the process that doesn't get highlighted or discussed. It's not even listed as one of the 5 stages of grief. But I feel like it is definitely a stage. And that's paranoia. So I was a person who you probably would have called fearless prior to what happened to my son. My son was definitely fearless. He wasn't afraid of anything. He felt he could handle any situation. And he probably could almost any situation. And since the situation of losing him, especially to gun violence, I have noticed that I am paranoid at almost everything. If I'm going to an event where there's going to be a crowd, if I actually make it to the event. Now, I always paid attention to where the exits were in the case of an emergency, having an escape route or two, planned just in case. But now it's almost that it's not just in case. It's like, okay, when an emergency happens, what am I going to do? Or I'm so nervous, it's difficult to even create that escape plan anymore, because now it's, well, if I go this way, what if this happens? If I go that way, well, what if that happens? Or what if someone has a gun? In almost everything now, it's what if someone has a gun? I fear way more than I used to. And it's not just at parties, because the situation with my son happened at a party. I can be at work and out of nowhere just get an eerie feeling of, that person. I don't know that person. They don't work here. What if they're disgruntled? What if they're about to shoot the place up? It's crazy to live this way. I can't stand it. And the second I feel like I'm past it, it happens again. It doesn't have to be work. It doesn't have to be a crowded area. I can be invited to an event where there's just a few people. Even church. Remember, there was a situation where a man went to Bible study and shot people. So now it's so scary to even think of going to church, driving down the street. Now, I used to be the person who, if you cut me off, I am just blowing the horn, and not necessarily road rage, but I'm going to make sure you realize I was there. I don't do that anymore because I'm afraid. What if that person has a gun? What if this person next to me who's staring into my car has a gun? Because there's so many things that are happening just at random. I'm literally in my own head for the majority of any time that I'm away from my home. And even sometimes at home. Wake up in the middle of the night, I may have heard a noise. I have to get up and go check the whole house. It may have been my dog. There was a night that there was a bat in my house. We're not going to talk about that. But anyway, noises, little things, triggers now have me so paranoid. And I think that's something that many people don't discuss when they're talking about the grief journey. I don't think it's healthy. And I think it's something that really has to be addressed. And I have to find a way to get past it, because who can live like that? I'm on social media a lot lately, but I saw this quote where people were like, if your friend doesn't come to your party, take it personally. If they do one thing for somebody and not for you, take it personally. Take everything personally. And I used to be that person until now, because I can have every intention of showing up at a friend's party, at a family gathering, and I may be on my way out the door and that paranoia hits me and I don't want to go anywhere. It's nothing personal against the family member or the friend who I said, yep, I'll be there. And it's hard to explain. You want to say, oh, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I had something to deal with, but you don't want to say, sorry I couldn't come to your party. I was paranoid. Because then that again goes back to the triggers that are supposed to be my responsibility. And I feel like that's expecting them to tiptoe around it. So how do you deal with that? How do you manage your paranoia? And how do you keep it from making you seem like you're just ghosting people? You just didn't feel like showing up. Because honestly, when it happens, I don't want to try to explain it. So then it's even worse because it's, oh, she didn't show up. She didn't say anything. She didn't call. And in my head, all of that stuff is coming back. You didn't go. You didn't explain. They don't know why. They're probably upset with you. And I'm telling you, this was never me. I was the confident person. Whatever decision I made, I was confident in that decision. I didn't worry about dealing with crazy repercussions from someone else's feelings. But of course, I also took people's feelings into consideration. And I would explain, girl, this happened or this came up. But now it's so hard to explain it. It's so hard to even prepare for events. It's hard to live a normal life anymore. And I'm trying so hard. I am putting a positive spin on things that I can, but you can't put a positive spin on paranoia. Girl, I was scared somebody was going to shoot me at your party. There's no positive spin on that. And there's no way to really get people to understand what's going on in your head. That's why I feel like I'm a functioning depressive, if that's the word. Functioning sufferer of depression. Something along those lines. Because to a certain extent, I will do things and I will go some places. Or I will go, show my face and may not want to be there long, especially if it's a large group. Or especially if there's people that I don't know. Like it's like a scene in a movie where you're that character and everybody's staring at you or the cameras are all moving around you because you're afraid of what everyone's thinking. It's like a scene from the movie Carrie. Who the hell wants to be Carrie? I don't even want to be the one that explodes after I'm just tired of everyone looking at me and looking down at me. But that's what it feels like. Even after doing the podcast, sometimes it's like, oh, that person's on my podcast. They probably feel a certain way. But I know that I'm here to help others. And I know that I am helping others. And I may be helping you by letting you know that you're not alone if you're dealing with the paranoia as well. And I don't think it's just violent situations, because even in situations where loved ones die of an illness or loved ones die suddenly, then it's this constant fear of, okay, this person is up there in age. What if they die? What if they get cancer or something of that? Everything that's happened, it still stays in your mind. And it becomes a fear. And if you are, I don't want to say a Bible scholar, but if you're, one who studies the word, it tells us God has not given us a spirit of fear. So then who's given us that spirit? Which means we need to try to fight it because it's of the enemy. I can say that. And that makes me fight a little harder, but it doesn't make it go away. Even though I know it doesn't make it go away. And so I'm constantly in a battle. It's almost like I used to see on the TV shows or cartoons where you had the little angel on this side and the devil on this side. The angel saying, we got this. Let's go. Let's have fun. Let's kick it with our girls. Let's chop it up with our friends. And the devil on this side saying, yeah, but you never know who's in that corner. You never know who's behind the curtain. And it's a constant mental battle. Now, I don't want anyone to call authorities and say she's crazy, go and commit her, because it's not the case. But it's real. It's things that you deal with when you're in this position. And it's nothing that I've ever dealt with before. I guess I'm saying it out loud because I'm sure I'm not the only person who deals with this. I'm not the only person who has a level of fear that has become a part of my life after losing a loved one. And if you're one of those people, we got to fight it. I've been pushing hard on mental health because it's very, very important. If you're dealing with that battle, you may need to seek out a mental health professional. There's nothing wrong with it. You'll probably hear me say that a lot because I've been taking my mental health so much more seriously since I've had to deal with this grief. Because this type of grief, this type of loss was more devastating than anything that I've ever dealt with. And I cannot let it consume me. It's going to be a part of me because my baby's gone. But I have to find out a way to allow it to be a part of me, a part of my life, but not my entire life. And you're probably saying, yeah, but you got a whole podcast and that's all you're talking about is dealing with grief. That's not just for me. It helps me, I won't lie. It helps me to be able to discuss it. But I think it helps some of you as well. And that's why you're tuned in. I just hope you don't allow the pain, the anger, the fear, the 5 stages. You don't allow those things to consume you, to take over your life. Deal with it, have your moment, and do whatever you have to move past it. Maybe go to the party a little late. If you can convince yourself the way you're thinking is crazy, this is a close friend, maybe you can't go. That's fine too. You may have to explain your position to people who may get upset that you didn't show up or not. Do what works for you. I just realized that even in the self-help books that I've read, the books related to dealing with grief, paranoia is addressed, but it's a very small portion. And I don't think it's a small portion of the journey. May not be considered a stage, but it's definitely a part of the journey. I know I'm sitting here and telling you the crazy things that are going through my head, but what I'm trying to do is empower you. Empowering you by letting you know I'm dealing with it too. There's others dealing with it. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be afraid of it. It's just part of what we have to go through to get through this grief journey, because I can never say there will be an end to it. That's why it's interesting to me that the last stage is acceptance. And maybe it's because I'm not there yet, but once you accept it, then what? Like, it doesn't change the fact that it's there. It doesn't change the fact that you lost someone. So what's next? Just something to think about. So just think. How will you get through these stages? How will you deal with that paranoia, that fear, even the anger, resentment, all of those feelings that come with the journey? I can't tell you how to deal with it. I can barely tell myself, so all I can do is work my way through it and try to help you as much as I can. But as always, in all that you do, be true to yourself, be strong, and be mighty. We're here every other Friday, wherever you tune in the podcasts. If you'd like to see my beautiful face, you can do so on Spotify and YouTube. If you have ideas for topics, if you'd like to be a guest, if you'd like, apparently, for me to be a guest on your podcast, which is happening lately, you can reach us by email at wearemighty24@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.
They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no. They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no.